56. Collectively, we are the Mind of Men. Don't forget to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at 52 Scott Podcast, on Instagram and Facebook, the 52 Scott Podcast, and for all my YouTubers, don't forget to like and subscribe. And welcome to another Black Friday. Okay, let me start by saying, not knowing is not cool, and pretending to know makes you look foolish to the people who know. Let me repeat that. Not knowing is not cool, and pretending to know makes you look foolish to the people who know. Now, with that being said, everybody don't mature at the same pace. It takes some people longer than others to mature mentally. So for today's episode, I'm going to give black people under the age of 35 a pass. Now you may be asking yourself, a pass for what, Freddie G? A pass for being ignorant. That's right, I said it. A pass for being ignorant. So before we peel back the layers on today's show, let me say, in my experience in the black community, we use the word ignorant out of context most of the time.
Facts.
Case in point, if someone in our community encounters a person with a quick temper, there's a good chance the person with the quick temper may be called ignorant. Now, ebonically speaking, it may sound a little something like this. Man, that's an ignorant ass nigga. Or it may sound something like this. She ignorant than a motherfucker. Not to mention, there are a lot of black folks who think the word ignorant is a derogatory word. So, for those who don't know, ignorant means lack of knowledge, information, or awareness about a particular thing. I'm going to repeat that. Ignorant means lack of knowledge, information, or awareness about a particular thing. So for all you ignorant black folks that get offended when the word ignorant is used in its proper context to describe you, there's no need to be offended or upset. I've just educated you on the meaning. Therefore, you're no longer ignorant to the meaning of the word ignorant. Now, I want to reiterate something I said earlier. I'm going to give black people under the age of 35 a pass. However, if you're over 35 years old and you continue to walk in ignorance because of stubbornness, pridefulness, laziness, or any excuse you give in an attempt to support your lack of awareness, let me say, you're too old to be unaware of basic things that most people over the age of 35 are aware of. There's too many media outlets, Google, or multiple social media platforms to get information. So there's no excuse for you to be uninformed. Now, I'm not talking about being uninformed when it comes to the latest trends, music, or gossip. I'm going to repeat that. I'm not talking about being uninformed when it comes to the latest trends, music, and gossip. I'm talking about being uninformed on the things that can or may affect you in life. Bottom line, as a responsible adult over 35, there are basic things black folks should know. And I'm not talking about black history. So fellas, I'm going to give examples of things in my opinion that black folks over 35 should know, should have, and should understand. Again, this is my opinion. However, I want y'all to give me your thoughts and opinions, and feel free to give your own examples. So, first off, black folks over 35 should have a basic understanding about credit.
I agree.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I totally agree.
That's agreeable.
Black folks should know the 3 credit bureaus,
Yeah.
and they are
Experian,
TransUnion, and Equifax.
Equifax, right.
Equifax.
Yeah. Black folks should also, when it comes to credit, should know credit score classifications.
Right.
And they typically range from 300 to 850. You going to say something?
Yeah, I was. I always said this, and I'm glad you broke it down in an age bracket, because there's a class. I've always said that in schools they should have a life class, which teaches us about credit. No one taught me about credit in high school. Teaches about taxes, income tax. Teaches about investment, simple life stuff. And credit should be the focal point, and IRS. Those should be the focal points, because those are things that were not taught to us when I was in school.
Yeah, and that's most of us that was in public school.
Right, correct.
Yeah, I'm not putting the blame on public schools, because we did have parents.
Yeah.
You know, if our parents were living.
Exactly.
Or our grandparents, or whatever the case may be. I'm not putting the blame on public school, but I do agree.
Yeah.
That we should have we should have learned in some way, shape, or form about credit, at least the 3 credit bureaus. And I want to elaborate on in regards to the credit score classification. I mentioned a little earlier that the credit your credit scores typically range from 300 to 850. So let me break that down a little bit for our listeners who may not know. A poor credit score is anywhere from 300 to 579. That's considered a poor credit score. A fair credit score is anywhere between 580 and 669. A good credit score is anywhere between 670 and 739. A very good credit score is anywhere between 740 and 799. And an excellent credit score is between 800 and 850.
From what I'm hearing, when you have like an excellent, when you have too much credit, it's just as hard.
Yeah, it's just as bad as having bad
credit.
Yeah, I've heard that.
I've heard that.
Okay, so what do y'all think some of the disadvantages of having bad credit? Give me a disadvantage of having bad credit.
Certain places you can't, like, let's say shopping for a home. There's going to be some homes that you're not going to be able to get in because your credit, I mean, you can get in them with the cash. But what I'm saying is, if you want to save yourself in your pockets, if your credit is good, you got that 679 or 680 that they looking for. Some of them 625. If you got that what they looking for, then bam, they're gonna let you get in there. You're not gonna have to spend a lot of money. But if your credit is lower, they'll let you in. But that amount of money that you paying monthly is gonna increase, or that down payment that you're gonna pay is gonna be a lot higher. So that's the difference in good and bad credit. You can have what you want if you got some cash.
Yeah.
You know, period. But if that credit is straight, you can keep that cash.
And I would say, whether you get a credit card, a car, house, whatever it is, your interest rate's gonna be super duper high.
With bad credit.
That's in line. That's in line with what Slash is. So a disadvantage of bad credit is you're paying more on your loan,
Right.
and you are a big risk to the mainstream lenders.
Yeah, because they don't want to. They afraid you're not gonna pay them on time.
Right.
And that's the main thing with credit, is paying on time. That's what builds your credit, the on-time payments. The late payments reflect against you, but your on-time payments is what helps you. And in some cases, a few days before always gives it a few extra nudges up also.
Okay, can y'all give me another disadvantage of bad credit?
Some businesses may not even do business with you if you got bad credit.
So also
that lines up with you're too big of a risk for a mainstream lender.
I got a good one. This was back in the day. I want to say 2005, 6 credit was bad because I had ran my own business. Now I went back into the work world. So running my own business kind of ran my credit down, but I had to build it back up. Once they run your credit, it's, oh, hi, Mr. Comedian 96, how are you? That's I. But once they run that credit, man, get your ass out of here. it's the respect level goes way down. Then they talk to you crazier.
So you feel that a disadvantage of bad credit, the
respect,
the lenders are less respectable.
Correct.
Towards you.
Yes, they are. That's
Okay.
correct.
Let me ask you, what about your insurance premiums going up higher if you got bad credit?
You know, I didn't know that.
They just started that. Not all insurance companies do it, but they just started that probably the last 10 years.
You know, they need to stop that because insurance is already the biggest scam. You
Well,
get
actually,
scam.
20 years. Cause I remember AAA did it. AAA, they ran your credit. So actually, 20-something years ago. So maybe.
Okay, what about missing out on career opportunities?
yeah, because some
Oh, yeah.
jobs do credit checks.
Oh yeah, that's
you know?
right.
And that's not to me. That's crazy.
That is
Now,
crazy.
that
don't make no sense.
If you work for
Give me where
think
this
about it,
makes
think
sense
about it.
at, or I'm not gonna understand.
I'm gonna tell you. Say you work for the FBI. Now, the FBI, I know for a fact you got to have good credit, a certain credit score. I don't know what the credit score is, but it has to. I'm guessing it has to be fair because you become a liability because it's a possibility. Say you catch a big drug kingpin, and he say, "Hey man, if you can get rid of that evidence, I'm gonna give you $50,000." Well, if you got bad credit, that $50,000 is gonna look good to you. You're an arrested officer with bad credit, and he offers you 50 racks to get rid of the evidence.
So
You get what I'm saying?
So what
So
you're
you-
saying is that there's a possibility
Yeah,
that bad credit could outweigh your morals, values, and integrity. Is that what you're saying?
possibility. That's why the FBI wants you to have a certain credit score.
You don't have to have bad credit for your morals to not line up. Right.
True, that's
Be
that's
easily
true.
enticed by
But
money.
You know what I'm
you
saying?
are a liability if you come in there with a 449 and no money in your bank account.
And that's probably true. But my thing is, man, I just don't see that as being real at all because
Yeah.
my credit score is not going to stop me from doing my job, right? You know what I mean? And the thing with credit score is credit can be worked on. So how are you going to deny me of something that I'm capable of doing for something that I don't even have? Credit. You tripping on me behind some credit. I ain't got none. What the hell? And just because I owe some people, that's why I need the job.
Right.
If I can get the job and make the money, I can make sure my credit's straight. But you got to stop looking at me and judging me because you think I'm going to say or I'm going to be against your company that I work for. My integrity going to be off. That's trash to me. But
Okay.
it's happening.
yeah,
So on to my next one here. Black folks over 35. You should have a checking and savings account, and at the least a checking account. There is no way you should be taking your damn check to the check cashing place
PLS.
and giving up 1% to 2 to
Just
3%
the
of your
cash.
check.
PLS, man. PLS. They winning all day long.
Yeah.
And some people are actually operating through these other services, PayPal and Cash App.
so what are you doing with the excess money? The mattress money? You putting it under the mattress?
They ain't got no mattress
Thing is,
money.
yeah, I mean, if you're cashing it and you don't have no bank account, you
But
putting
who
it somewhere.
Let me show you something, man. Who actually has that cash like it used to be? Remember back in the day,
Yeah.
if you had $500 and it was in your pocket, it looked like you had a bankroll. Who does that anymore?
Yeah, that's
Does
true.
that make any sense to even do? Because the minute you pull out that little $500, it looked like something to somebody who ain't got nothing. And then here they come gonna bust you across the head. So I mean, having the cash on you is not even a real thing no more. Having some cash, yeah,
Yeah.
but a bank account,
Believe it or not, that mentality still exists
In some people.
In some,
Yeah.
yeah, they still have that
And-
mattress. Cash their check, put it in a jacket pocket under the mattress, in a shoebox.
Yeah.
And they don't. I don't trust banks. I know y'all have heard that before.
Yeah,
I don't
that's the
trust
older
banks.
generation, though. That's like
Mhm.
people that are our age and
Yep.
older.
Yep.
but man, let me tell you, if you got some money in the bank to yourself, my money in the bank is credit to me. You know what I'm saying? If I got money in the bank and I ain't got to spend it, okay, that's cool. I'm gonna just take what I got over here or what I got from this, and I'm gonna do this for about a week. And I'm not. That's my credit.
That's my credit.
And hopefully next week I can make some more where this can
add
still.
to it,
You
yeah.
feel what I'm saying? So yes, a bank account, a real live bank account, not Cash App, not PayPal, and not none of these other social media things that people are using to transfer money. That don't count.
Okay, now this next one that I got that I wrote down here. Now again, this is my opinions. All of this stuff that you're hearing is my opinions that I think all black people over 35 should know or be aware of, right? And now, you guys may not agree with me, but on this one. But if you do, speak on it. If you don't, speak on it. I believe that black people over 35 should know the capital of their state.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you should know the
You
capital
better know.
of your state.
Yeah.
Now,
You supposed to know that at 5 years old.
now that we saying that, now that I said that,
Yeah.
do you know why?
For various reasons. I mean,
Just give me one.
that's when you go to
So-
cash in your big lottery ticket
Well,
over 250,000.
the capital-
I know that.
Yeah, because the capital of your state is where all of your information is stored.
Okay.
You have information stored in that state. Generally, the DPS office, driving records, jail records, all that stuff goes to the capital of your state. So
Okay.
you need to know where your information's at.
For the state of Texas, the capital is
T.
Austin.
Now, the state capital is a political and administrative center for each state. The House, legislation, executive, and often the judicial branch of state governments. That's all that's there. So bottom line is, when they get to shooting these bills and these bills got to become law and all that stuff within your state and stuff, that's why it's important to know that stuff. So here's something that's going to really shock you. And this is going to probably blow some of y'all minds, listeners. If you're over 35, you should know the mayor of your city.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
that's true.
There's a lot of people in Houston that don't know. Well, there's a lot of people,
In the surrounding.
that don't know
Areas.
their mayor. See, like if you ask the average person, hey, who's the mayor? They'll say, John Whitmire. Well, listeners, I don't live in Houston. So that's not my mayor. When I'm voting, I don't vote for him. That's not my mayor. Now, I know my mayor. I've always known my mayor. But if you live in Richmond,
Missouri City.
Missouri City,
Angleton.
Angleton, Pearland, Stafford, Katy,
Manville. Rosharon.
do you know your mayor?
Right. Probably
Now,
don't.
for those who live in Houston, your mayor is John Whitmire. For those who live in Richmond, your mayor is Rebecca Haas. For those who live in Sugar Land, your mayor is Joe Zimmerman. For those who live in Stafford, your mayor is Ken Matthew. For those who live in Pearland, your mayor is Kevin Cole. For those who live in Missouri City, your mayor is Robin Elcat. For those who live in Katy, your mayor is William H. Thielen. And for those who live in Angleton, your mayor is John Wright.
John Wright.
He knew what my boo said after he said.
But that's interesting though. There's a lot of people that just don't know.
Don't know,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's factual right there, man.
Yeah, and you're over 35 years old. These are things that you should know.
And you can't blame him. He just moved there. So
Yeah.
The only disagreement I have, man, is the age limit. I feel like it should be lowered to 30.
Okay.
Everything that you've mentioned and named, I feel it should be 30 and above.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you
I can dig
35, I can't give you no pass.
I can dig
34,
that.
33, and 32, and 31, I can't give you no
You're
pass.
supposed to know some of this
A
stuff.
lot of that shit.
Okay. So, if you're over 35 and in K Money's opinion over 30, you should know your state government your state governor, your lieutenant governor, and attorney general.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, at this age, everybody should be voting, so they should be aware of who these people are.
And so, for the state of Texas, your governor is. Your governor is.
Oh, the man. on
Abbott.
I thought you was
Your
you was
governor
pointing at
is.
him. I would have
Wheelchair
answered.
guy.
I thought you was
Abbott.
pointing at K Money. My bad.
What they
Greg
call him?
Abbott.
Greg Abbott.
They call I forgot
AKA
what they call
Hot
it.
Wheels.
Yeah, Hot
yeah.
Wheels. Yeah.
Your lieutenant governor is
Don't know.
Don't know.
Dan Patrick.
Yeah, I do him, Dan Patrick.
I,
And your attorney general is, y'all better know this, especially for the ones who pay
Got
child support.
He took Abbott's
nah,
place.
he took Abbott's spot.
Yeah,
Ken Paxton.
Ken Paxton.
So, if you're over 35, you should also know the name of your senators.
Oh
Now,
no.
now check this out.
Especially those that
Check this out. Here goes something that a lot of people don't know. Every state has 2 senators.
I didn't know that.
Didn't know that.
So ours is John Carney and Ted Cruz.
Now John Cornyn, he used to be
The
Attorney General.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But he is a senator now.
Yeah.
And ours is John Carney and Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz, man.
See, we just hear Ted Cruz name a lot.
A lot. Yeah.
So, now this next one, this applies to black men over 35. And actually, Keith, after listening to you, it may be sooner than that. But this applies to black men over 35. You should be past the sagging pants stage.
Oh, way up past.
So now let me make this clear. There's a difference between sagging pants and baggy pants. And sometimes if you got baggy pants, that may appear to be saggy. So there is a difference between baggy pants and saggy pants. But if you're over 35, you shouldn't be sagging your pants.
Yeah, they invented. It was an invention called a belt
yeah.
to prevent, the sagging.
And I'm going to be honest, you say 35. Really, man, you should grow up by 25, 26 and stop sagging. I mean, you shouldn't sag at all, but I can kind of see it in the 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 23.
I
you
can't
should,
see it that.
you should be on a job and you should be grown up.
Let's say, because we're coming from an old school perspective, right? Because we didn't grow up sagging pants,
Right.
We didn't
At
grow
all,
up that
yeah.
way. But let's say you are a young man that come up in the era of sagging pants when sagging pants was considered in that era cool, right? Now check this out. We didn't grow up in that era, so we couldn't see it as being cool, right? But it's their era to where they see it as being cool. But after that being a phase or whatever the case may be, if you're over 35, you should be like, okay, I ain't supposed to be sagging pants. These for these youngsters.
Exactly.
This is what these youngsters are doing. This is their thing. This is what they do. So you shouldn't be, in my opinion, sagging
pants.
I agree. You damn
I
sure
agree.
shouldn't.
I agree with you.
Like the Media 96 said, especially if you got a job.
Yeah, you on a
But
job, and
unfortunately, these motherfuckers are sagging on their job.
yeah, say if you got kids and you sagging, your kids gonna take after your dad,
Right.
And
They're
then,
repeating everything. they
yeah,
say.
so you should be like, let me be a better role model. Let me pull my pants up and put that invention, that what you call that
That
invention?
belt.
It's
It's
called
called
a
a
belt.
belt.
Yeah.
Hey man, any dude wear his pants sagging where you can see his drawers is considered gay to me. Cause it ain't just women see this, bro.
Yeah. And even the women talk about
You
it too.
okay with other men looking at your ass through your drawers is gay.
Yeah.
I'm not okay with that. I pull my pants up, and that's because that's just how I wear 'em.
Yeah.
Period. And I got a belt on, but it's no point in sagging your pants with a belt and got your drawers showing under your ass. You young niggas need to stop that. That's foolish.
And again, there is a difference between sagging pants and baggy pants.
Yeah.
Baggy pants
So
are just
there is
bigger.
a difference.
They're bigger.
There is a difference.
Sagging is hanging off
yeah.
your ass.
So moving on. So, black people over 35, if you pay child support, you should be aware of the basic child support laws in your state. Child support laws and guidelines varies by state. However, every state follows the UIFSA, that is the Uniform Interstate Family Support Act, which makes it easier to handle child support orders between states. Now, if you pay child support, you should be familiar with at least some of the basic child support laws. One of them is garnishing wages.
They damn sure gonna take it. Every check.
Can y'all think of another one?
Let me see. Garnishing wages.
Your visitation rights.
Yeah, that too.
Paying child support?
Yep. Well, that comes. It's garnished.
That's garnished. That's
It
that's
comes
on the
out
garnishment.
before
yeah.
you even see it.
Yeah.
No. He's saying
You saying that they should know?
they should know the base, at least the basic child support
Oh,
laws. And what did you say, Cameron?
I mentioned they should also know their
Visitation rights.
That doesn't have anything to do with the child support
right,
laws.
Right, I agree.
So, what about
Well,
if you're behind on child support, you're unable to renew your license?
I want to
that's
go
right.
back a second to where we said that
The visitation.
the visitation has nothing to do with the child support laws. So it kind of does, because if I'm in court and they are telling me this is what I have to do, then you have something that you obligated to do something too.
Right. It's
And it's my visitation. And if I'm not getting my visitation rights, I'm finna have I got a fight.
it's in the documents.
You have to
Yeah.
allow me to visit
If they
the
say
child.
every other weekend and she
That's
doesn't
what it's
do
gonna
it,
be.
and summers,
Yeah.
She's
and
in
she don't
contempt.
do it,
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And it puts them in breach of the contract. So this is something, fellas, that y'all need to know. If she's denying your visitation rights and you paying child support, you can file against that. Now, I don't know what you're gonna win, but I mean, it's a red flag either way, because you're supposed to be able to see your child no matter what.
Okay. So what about unable to obtain a passport?
Well, the one you
Can't get a
mentioned prior to
passport
that,
if you-
Freddie G, I think you should repeat that.
If
I
you're
think that's
behind
if you-
$2,500,
Yeah, if you behind,
$2,500 or more, you
Yeah.
can't get a passport.
What'd you say, K Money?
I think you need to repeat about the driver's license.
Yeah, if you're behind in child support, or if you're not paying child support, you're unable to renew your license.
And in 90 days, if you hadn't paid a child support payment in 90 days, you can be arrested.
Okay.
At
and
that 91st day, you can be arrested.
that was the next thing on my list. If you're not paying child
If you don't
support,
pay it, yeah.
you could possibly face jail time. Okay. Did y'all know that if you didn't pay child support, there's a possibility that a lien can be placed on your property?
Yep.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
anything federal.
Did y'all know that if you're not paying child support, that they could intercept your tax return or lottery winning?
Yeah, they
Yes.
take the tax return, and if you owe for child support, you cannot go take a course for a trade. You know what I mean? You
I
can't
didn't know
go.
that. Now,
No,
that I didn't know.
They're not gonna give you no funding to go to this schooling because you owe for child support. They're gonna tell you, hey, we can't do it.
Ooh, thank goodness I ain't got
Good to know.
but 2 more months of child support.
Okay, here's another one that we actually, it lines up with what was the first thing on my list that all black people over 35 should know. Do y'all recall? The very first thing I said that all black people should be aware of and should know.
Your capital of your state.
No, prior to that, the very first thing I said, credit.
Yeah,
Your credit.
Well, if you're not paying child support, it can impact your credit score. Did you know that?
Let me tell
I
you.
didn't know that.
No, yeah, it's impacting mine, and it's so unfair. I'm gonna tell you what's happening. I'm glad you said that, Freddie G. I paid my child support from ages. I filed on myself when she was in the bed having that baby. I was at choice because I tried to do it before. She said, no, she got to be
wait.
on. Yeah. So once she was in the bed having a baby, I went to the child support. I filed on myself. She was threatening to me too much. And I was like, you know what? I'm tired of you threatening me. Before the baby, she was threatening me. So I went and I did it on myself the same day. Now, the child support doesn't start till after you do the paternity test, 3 months. So it was like 6 or 7 months in. So you technically are behind, even though
6 months.
You're not behind because you filed on yourself. Mm-hmm. So that money rolls over. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Even though you're not behind, it shows you it's being 6 months behind, and it rolls. It's like a rolling late. Mm-hmm. So for 18 years, child support, and I asked them, can you do anything to fix it? They said no. It's showing a rolling late on my credit. So it won't come off. I'll stop this June, child support. July, it'll come off. So
She
July
would have to waive it. That would be the only way to get that.
Yeah,
fixed.
so that rolling late. And I'm like, I'm not late. I've never missed.
Right.
I'm not late. And I said, y'all are so unfair. So it's a dirty trick that the state uses. It's dirty.
Now, here's another one here that a lot of people are not familiar with. So, if you didn't pay child support, you could end up on the Texas List of Evaders website.
That's crazy.
Oh,
And on that website, and I visited that website. I took a look on this website.
They show the people.
They'll show your picture, the amount you owe, and how many children. Wow. You'll end up on that website.
I've been in the child support office and saw those pictures of people, they be like, this guy owe $160,000, this guy owe $98,000, and they be doctors and everything else.
They'll have your picture, the amount you owe, and the number of children.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Man.
So, moving on here. So, if you're black and over the age of 35, black folks, please listen to this next one. Get some burial insurance. You shouldn't place the burden of burying yourself on your loved ones.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Because they don't have it.
Yeah.
Those people, your loved ones may not have that money.
They don't have it.
So get some burial insurance on yourself.
As cheap as $15 a month. $10.
And, well,
10.
Now, of course, if you're older and you're late and you're getting it and you're older, I'm not talking about term life. I'm talking about whole life.
Whole life.
Yeah. If you're older, and as you get older, you get a little bit more ailments and stuff like that. It'll be a little bit more expensive, but it's not over $100 a month. Mm-hmm. You can probably get some decent insurance to cover you. Let's say hypothetical, anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 a whole life. You can probably get that for roughly about $53 or $65 a month or something like that. If you're older,
and in reality, you really need more than $20,000
So
nowadays.
I gotta ask on the burial, just the burial insurance. Mm-hmm. You would hold that to a 35-year-old? You think a 35-year-old is thinking about actually getting buried?
No. That's why I told you earlier in the show. I mentioned earlier in the show. I'm giving those people under 35 a pass.
No, I'm
but
talking
over
about
35.
I know. I'm saying even at 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40.
Yeah, I think they should know better.
Unless you got
All
an
black people should know
underlying
that.
health issue, say you're healthy 35, healthy 40, healthy 45. I would say once you hit 48, 49, 50, then you should be looking at burial.
Let me show you something.
I disagree.
I do too.
You 35? You
I'ma
look for
tell you.
burial?
I'm going to
I
tell
disagree.
you.
Go ahead.
Let me
Slab.
say why I disagree.
Go ahead.
Because you can't determine your day of death.
I that part I get.
The smartest thing is to be prepared beforehand and not cause your family members.
Well,
no
if that's
issues.
the case, if we're going to say that, it's most of these YNs are in the street, they should be getting burial insurance
you
at
know
18.
what? They should. Their parents should have it
No,
on.
check it out.
I mean,
check
if
it out.
you're gonna do
Well,
that-
no, I'm finna be honest with you with
Yeah.
that. And I'm this is some real talk. Mm-hmm. I was raised by my grandparents, right? I knew about burial insurance and I knew how important burial insurance was back in the day when the insurance man would come to your house
And knock
you
on the
get
door.
the little booklet.
Yeah.
The booklet, yeah.
The booklet for them to sign and pay. I knew that stuff in elementary school.
Mm-hmm. I did.
Yeah,
too.
I knew
we did.
but check it out. I knew the importance of it, right? Mm-hmm. Now check this out. Back then, the younger your child is, the cheaper it is to get them in,
Right.
right? If you are 35 years old And I gave 35 and under a grace. Give them grace. Just because you got your wilding out stage, you ain't thinking about nothing, and you want to party, you want to do what you do. I'm going to give you some grace. But if you over 35, man, you should know better.
Yeah, true.
You should have some sort of insurance on you. Some sort of being able to take care and put some insurance on yourself. Because not having that insurance is a burden on your family members to try to figure out how to bury you. And here's the thing. If they don't know how to bury you, here's what they're going to do. They're going to cremate you.
Yeah.
Because it's cheaper. And you may, when you was living, it's not like you'll know, but when you was living,
that was not
you
the plan.
probably didn't want to be cremated.
Yeah.
So at the bare minimum, man, I would say get you, and again, I know things are going up or whatever. I would say get you about $20,000 life insurance policy. Your insurance policy is not for the living. Right. It's for your people to bury you. A lot of us be like, I want to have something to leave to my kids. I want to do that. Now, the best thing you can do is get you something to bury your ass in the ground. If you ain't got enough money to leave your kids some money left over, whatever, so be it. But at least your kids can bury you.
And ain't got to spend their money.
And here's the thing. To open and close a ground, it's probably about, to put dirt on you, it's probably about $2 to $3 grand.
$3 grand
to open and close the ground.
3,000.
That ain't got nothing to do with
preparation,
the burial stuff.
Yeah.
So you get you about $20,000.
You need it
at this point, and that should be enough.
Should be enough
to get you a funeral home to do your burial stuff. If you ain't got no church, they'll do the service for
comfort.
You. That'll be enough to get you at least one police escort. That'll be enough to get you one big old with the big flower to go on your casket.
Yeah, like the bouquet type of thing.
Yeah.
And a nice casket.
Yeah,
and a nice casket.
And listen, I ain't not to get too deep, but it's enough to get you a decent gauge on your casket, because the gauges on your caskets is important on the seal of the casket. That's too much to get into right now. That's for another day. So, with that being said, man, I'm going to come to a close. Now, before I give today's Black Fact, I want to share part of a scripture from the book of Hosea, chapter 4, verse 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. Now, not to get too deep, but that statement was made because the Israelites had lost their trust in God. So they rejected knowledge. Therefore, God would also reject them as his priest. Now, that statement is sometimes used more broadly to refer to Christians who deny the gift or power of the Holy Spirit. Now, with all that being said, let me translate that to basic street conversation from person to person. All right, motherfucker, I tried to teach your ass how to do it, but your ass don't want to listen. You think you know it all. So, when you fuck it up, don't come running to me. I ain't gonna help your ass. Bottom line. Now, in addition, there's an old saying about the black race. If you want to hide something from them, put it in a book. In my opinion, that statement is implying black people can't read or won't read. So with that being said, today's Black Fact is Elijah Muhammad. And not the one y'all thinking of. This Elijah Muhammad is an African-American student from Oklahoma City. In 2023, at age 13, he became the youngest African-American to graduate college. He received degrees in computer science and cybersecurity from Oklahoma State University. Elijah, I salute you, young brother, for choosing mental growth over ignorance. This concludes another dope episode of Black Friday. Tune in next week for Music Monday. Don't forget to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at 52 Scott Podcast, on Instagram and Facebook, the 52 Scott Podcast, and for all my YouTubers, don't forget to like and subscribe.